Although these numbers are slowly being reduced by volunteers through organizations like Voices for Children of Tampa Bay and Guardian Ad Litem of Hillsborough County, there is additional comfort missing for the abused, neglected, and abandoned children who are facing the dependency court system.
Nobody wants a trial that brings any more stress. Nobody wants children that are upset, whether it's waiting outside a courtroom or in a proceeding. And whenever we have a tool available, I think it should be accessed and welcomed in every circumstance.
Nobody wants to come to court. Everybody that's here is here because they were told and because there's a problem.
It's not their usual circumstances. It's usually involving something about which it's difficult to talk about.
It's frightening. Even as a guardian ad litem, and I've testified many times, I'm slightly intimidated, but these children are to the point where they barely can talk sometimes.
When children have to go into the courtroom, they're very scared, they're very nervous, intimidated, anxious. A lot of them don't want to go.
And the children who come to our courts are children who have witnessed or been the victims of abuse, neglect, abandonment. Some have seen horrible, just parades of horrors, horrible circumstances. And we expect them to come to court and to be composed and to be calm and to be able to talk about things. And it's not easy.
In my experience, I have not seen anything used in the courtroom except for maybe stuffed animals. But otherwise, it was more of a sterile, scary environment for children.
We have to try and be especially sensitive to them. And it's very difficult. And we have to do everything we can to make sure that when a child testifies, that they feel safe and that they feel like they can truly tell their story without being harmed again.
And as a guardian, we act as the voice for these children in the courtroom. Sometimes the child has to use their own voice.
We try not to, but sometimes they're the best witness or they're the only witness.
And sometimes there are certain pieces of information that can change the entire outcome of a case and we might not get that.
I happened to come across an internet post about the Canine Companions for Independence and the Courthouse Dogs program. I was immediately intrigued and thought, this is the program we need in Hillsborough County. Simultaneously, Brenda was hearing about the program as well.
I became a guardian ad litem in 2009, working with children, doing cases and helping children navigate this system. In 2011 or so, I became aware of this program, sent away for some information. After viewing it, I decided that I knew exactly what I was going to be doing with the rest of my life.
In early 2014, Voices for Children of Tampa Bay was the first in Florida to staff a facility dog in the courtrooms. In unison with the Guardian Ad Litem program of Hillsborough County, volunteer Brenda Coker was introduced with her courtroom facility dog, Tibet. Both graduated from the Canine Companions for Independence campus in Orlando, also known as CCI.
From the application process, which again is so intense and so rigorous, and then the commitment to the program by the handler is incredibly professional. The handler must change almost every aspect of their life. They have to understand that the program is not about the handler, it's about the dog.
Courthouse dogs train for years to succeed in providing comfort to abused, neglected, and abandoned children who are facing the dependency court system. A courthouse dog is there to bestow a sense of calm to witnesses. They facilitate the fact-finding process because a composed witness can better describe an event to a judge or a jury.
I think that Brenda Coker and Betsy Smith from Voices for Children really did their homework when they were looking at bringing a dog program to Hillsborough County.
It took a little convincing to the board. We needed to have a lot of discussions. A lot of people aren't dog people. After a lot of conversations and voting and this and that, we decided to adopt the program.
My initial thoughts were, what a wonderful program and how terrific if we can do this. But of course I had a million questions and there were lots of concerns, not only as the administrative judge for the courts, but just as a lawyer. You think of liability issues, you think of, oh, what about the people who don't like dogs? What about people who are allergic to dogs? What about the people who just don't want a dog in the courthouse? All those things loomed large.
Well, my concerns, of course, for first was the size. You know, Tibet's a decent-sized dog. Decent-sized dog have decent-sized teeth. If she would ever snap at a child or at an adult, how would she behave? How such a dog of that size would be around the courthouse?
I am highly allergic to dogs. I can't have dogs that shed in my home. And I've never had that problem with Tibet because she's taken care of in that regard.
She has been tremendous. She's made a huge difference in what happens here, and Tibet's a rock star of our courthouse. She helps the children and calms them down, and she has been a wonderful addition.
I will say, even the naysayers, even the ones who didn't want her, didn't want to be a part of this project, she's won them over.
In the very beginning, when Tibet was first being rolled out as a program that was starting in Hillsborough County, the adults were told that we weren't allowed to touch her, we weren't allowed to look at her in the courtroom or the courthouse. And I think all of the adults were okay with that at first. We didn't think we'd really get attached to a dog. We were so wrong.
Tibet just makes a huge difference. Could we function without Tibet? Absolutely. Did we for a number of years? Of course. Does Tibet make a big difference? Yes.
Tibet brings a serene calmness to the room so that children who are talking to me about what are really difficult subjects every time, 100% of the time, are calmed by Tibet.
Not only is Tibet a really good presence and really does bring down the anxiety level for the kids, I think that as a result of that, you are going to get better testimony. Your evidence will be better because the children delivering the evidence are more comfortable communicating with adults.
Well, I deal mostly with kids talking in court, and they are very intimidated by the circumstances, and they tend to give me one-word answers. But when Tibet's there, I start off with, did you meet Tibet? Isn't she so great? And I get them talking more than one-word answers about Tibet. And then that leads us into the other questions, and so they're more comfortable and more relaxed, and they'll give you more information.
I've seen nothing but positive outcomes in using her on the several cases we've been able to collaborate on. I've also seen the positive outcome of having her in offices with staff, because this is a high-stress, high-burnout field, and everybody responds positively to her, whether they're a child or an adult.
These folks have a very hard job, and the burnout and turnover rate is very high. And what happens with that is that you have people that are trained to do a job leave that job, and then you bring in a new person who doesn't have the experience, and that reduces the quality of work for that child. So we want to keep those people that are highly trained and very good at their jobs, and this is one of the ways that we can do that.
It's very hard to deal with what you deal with as an adult every day and make sure that the kids that have been hurt or affected are safe, and to protect those that have not been. And she gives us a little bit of an outlet from that to let us know that everything will be okay.
What I like most about Tibet and what the program represents is what I call the unspoken language. You know, she has that language that she doesn't have to use the words. Us as lawyers like to use a lot of words. People like to use a lot of words. Tibet uses no words.
Tibet certainly does provide for the fair administration of justice because Tibet gives voices to children. Children who have to come here are not in a good situation.
These children need all the support they can get, and Tibet provides that support. So I would encourage other circuits, other states to introduce a Tibet, a facility dog, into their program.
The challenge that we're coming up against in replicating this in other parts of the state is finding a volunteer who is going to dedicate and really have the kind of commitment level that we need for this program. Brenda, this is like an unpaid job. She's a volunteer and this is her job.
And we feel incredibly fortunate and blessed to have her as a part of our program, spreading the word about what we do, and her poise and her confidence in knowing that she is helping these children, so many children, just makes the program that much more successful.
I feel called to do this work. I feel that the children that are traumatized, abused, abandoned, and neglected deserve the highest and the best of everything that we have to give them. I believe they deserve the most passionate and involved child advocates, and that's what I am. And I believe that I'm providing them the highest and the best form of support through this beautiful canine, and supporting them through very difficult processes that they have to endure through no fault of their own.
The mission of the Courthouse Dog Program of Voices for Children is to champion justice with support through trained courthouse dogs to provide emotional support for the abused, neglected, and abandoned children who are facing the dependency court system during stressful and difficult proceedings.